June 2010. A lone hiker in Chaco Culture National Historical Park stumbles upon the body of an unknown animal.
It had a large cavity. I couldn't see any internal organs. Inside, there was just a void. I've never seen any creature like this.
This is National Park Secrets and Legends. Chaco Culture National Historical Park. Hidden in a canyon in northwestern New Mexico, Chaco is the site of the Anasazi ruins, an archaeological treasure over 800 years old. It's considered one of the greatest architectural achievements of Native American culture. But for some, Chaco also has a dark side. It's believed that within these breathtaking structures lie inexplicable forces. August 2008, lone hiker Todd Hayen explores the mysterious ruins of Chaco Canyon.
I went essentially on an archaeological journey that was spiritual, and I was very interested in ancient primal cultures that were there.
That night, Todd sets up his tent amidst Chaco's ancient ruins. He falls into a deep sleep when suddenly he is awoken by a bizarre sensation.
I describe it as a snap. It was like an internal experience of light and sound.
All of a sudden, Todd is hit by sensations sweeping through him, as if some external force is trying to take control of his mind and his body.
It felt like it was something that was coming in, an entity, a spirit, a person that wanted to talk but was very angry with me. It wanted to tell me something but wanted to speak through my voice, through my own body.
Struggling to understand, Todd tries to communicate with the unseen power.
I asked this entity what it wanted, and this voice said inside of me, "You've got to leave because you don't respect this." It scared me. It scared me very much.
What could explain the terrifying presence trying to possess Todd's body and mind?
Maybe this is an angered person from a material realm, from a time that somebody lived and then died, and their spirit kind of lingers on.
Could these forces be echoes of Chaco's past inhabitants? Todd Hayen's experience is not unique. Other visitors to Chaco report similar terrifying encounters. June 2010. Don Gellinella explores the highlands 6 miles north of Chaco Canyon. He ventures miles from the nearest road when he notices disturbing changes in the desert.
It was deadly quiet there. I mean, you could hear your heart beating. That's how quiet it was. It was eerie. I was just about to turn around, and I saw something unusual amongst the sagebrush.
Don makes a shocking discovery. The body of an animal, unlike anything he's ever seen.
At first, I thought it was a dog, but when I looked closely, I could see that it had some features that were very unusual. The snout was elongated, more like a tapir, and it had a very large canine tooth. It had elongated back legs, which ended in a strange hoof-like shape.
More disturbing is the gaping hole in the side of the carcass. Unlike the bite wound of a predator, the mark is perfectly round. Its precision is almost surgical.
Inside, there was just a void. I couldn't see any internal organs. I didn't see any insects, blood or anything like that, but it was just sterile. There was nothing around it.
What could explain this otherworldly creature or its disturbing wounds? Some believe the answer is intimately connected with the native people's ancestral past and one of Chaco's most feared phenomena.
The Native Americans speak of these malevolent entities which can enter a person or even an animal.
For centuries, Native Americans have described terrifying shape-shifting creatures capable of possessing their victims. They are called skinwalkers.
A skinwalker can actually take the form of any animal it wishes, depending on its power, and most of the time those animals are canine, dog-like, wolf-like. They can run through fences, seem to disappear. Their tracks can go from being completely trackable to shallower and shallower to the point where that disappears as well.
Well, this hole in the animal could be the exit point of whatever spirit had taken over this animal. Did what it had to do and then exited out and just left this carcass on the ground.
According to legend, skinwalkers can take over not only the bodies of their victims, but also their minds. Could this explain Todd Haynes' terrifying encounter at Chaco?
Skinwalkers traditionally feed off of people's emotions. There's many cases of skinwalkers doing things for the sole purpose of making people scared.
They'll get inside your head and they'll talk as if they're coming out of you, but they're not really you, and you can kind of identify that something is taking you over.
If skinwalkers are responsible for these harrowing encounters, where did they come from? Some believe the answers might be found not only in the ruins of Chaco Canyon, but in the sky above them.
I looked up and there was this massive lit object in the sky. I just knew it was something incredibly powerful.
Chaco Culture National Historical Park in northwestern New Mexico. Here, malevolent spirits called skinwalkers are said to roam Chaco's ruins, taking possession of people's minds and viciously mutilating animals in the area. These terrifying events aren't the only ones occurring here. Visitors have also reported other shocking encounters. June 22nd, 2013, Eileen Meyer tours in the ancient ruins of Chaco. A frequent visitor to the area, she is drawn to the park's mysterious structures and ancient monuments.
Sometimes I get a little fearful because it's this big, scary place. So the place that I really wanted to go was Casa Rinconada, the largest kiva at Chaco Canyon. I went by myself, I hiked up there, and I was very excited about that.
Eileen approaches the circular structure where the ancient inhabitants of Chaco conducted religious ceremonies. As she draws closer, she is suddenly overwhelmed by powerful emotions.
I stood and was looking over the kiva, and I don't know how to describe it, but it feels like downloads are happening. Like there's a whole lot of activity.
Eileen's uncontrollable feelings continue deep into the night. Unable to sleep, she wanders the mysterious ruins of Chaco.
So I was in a kind of an altered state, I would call it. There was so much activity in my consciousness. It was just, I was vibrating, I was alive and awake. It's scary and exciting at the same time.
Venturing a short distance from the campsite, Eileen is suddenly confronted by an astonishing sight.
I looked up and there was this lit object in the sky. It looked massive, like a massive structure.
Inexplicably, the lights mirror Eileen's inner feelings of elation.
There was a vibration in the air that was just intense and magical and wonderful all at the same time.
Mesmerized, Eileen is once again overwhelmed by the same forces that swept through her body earlier that day.
I'm standing there staring at this, thinking I was having just the most incredible epiphany, joyful experience, probably of my life.
What can explain Eileen's powerful, uplifting experience when others have terrifying encounters? Some believe the answer lies with Chaco's builders, the Anasazi, and their use of a science called archeoastronomy.
Archeoastronomy is based on the concept that the Anasazi people had a lot more insight into the movement of not only the sun and the moon, but also the stars. And when we look at the features of Chaco Canyon, there are solstice alignments, there are equinox alignments, and there are even alignments to the sun itself.
Incredibly, the Anasazi are believed to have aligned their buildings to control how sound waves move through the canyon.
You can drop a rock on one side of the canyon and you can hear it on the other side. And they were able to hone skills that other ancient ones weren't able to hone.
The fact that Chaco Canyon has such sophisticated archaeoastronomy features attests to the brilliance of their people.
It's claimed the Anasazi had such advanced knowledge, they aligned their great monuments to amplify energy flowing through the canyon. Some believe this could explain the intense experiences that people have in the park. The Anasazi built here for 800 years. Then, without warning, the inexplicable happened.
As quickly as the Chaco Canyon culture blossomed, it also disappeared without a trace. Around the year 1250, the people just vanished.
What can explain the sudden disappearance of the Anasazi? And how did they acquire the knowledge to build such remarkable structures? A discovery by hikers in 1972 may provide the answer.
They weren't sure what it was, or exactly what it did, how it worked, but it certainly was otherworldly.
Chaco Culture National Historical Park is home to the greatest indigenous architecture in the Americas. It's believed these impressive structures are aligned to create a powerful energy vortex that could explain the intense experiences of many visitors. Even more remarkable is that the Anasazi who built these structures over 1,000 years ago vanished without a trace. Where did they go, and why did they leave? A discovery many years ago may provide a clue. 1972, a group of hikers explores a remote area of the park. They move deeper into the canyon when they discover something on the ground. One of them begins to dig.
A group of hikers stumbled upon a number of artifacts. Things that you might expect to have been left there by some Native American tribes. Pieces of pottery, which isn't uncommon for this area, certainly.
They find items dating back to the 8th century. As they continue to dig, they come across a strange metal disc etched with mysterious symbols. The symbols do not resemble anything they've ever seen.
This device just made no sense as far as being a Native American artifact. They notified the authorities, and they were very interested in this device, and then it was acquired by the government.
It's claimed that U.S. intelligence agents arrived to acquire the disc and unlock its secrets. Their project is given the top-secret code name, Ancient Arrow.
Unfortunately, they hit a dead end. They couldn't figure out what this was, what it was supposed to do, how it worked, even what its true purpose was.
It would take 22 years before Chaco Canyon surrenders more clues to help solve this mystery.
Well, in 1994, there was a landslide in this canyon, and it opened up an entrance into a cave system.
It's claimed the government quickly sends in a team to investigate. They discover a series of 23 interconnected caverns bored into solid rock. In the 23rd and final chamber, they discover a curious object that defies explanation. It is a large disc of unknown material whose purpose is a mystery.
They weren't sure what it was, or exactly what it did, how it worked, what it meant, but it certainly was otherworldly.
The agents take the disc to a lab for analysis.
After several years of trying, they were finally able to break the code and open the disc. And what they found was absolutely astounding.
8,000 pages of information from a people calling themselves the Wingmakers.
The Wingmakers identified themselves as representatives of a future version of humanity that lived some 750 years in our future. That makes them time travelers.
Did these time travelers help the Anasazi build their great structures? Are the Wingmakers key to explaining the mysteries of Chaco Canyon? Incredibly, some claim the truth does not lie with visitors from the future. It lies with visitors from another world.
All the aspects of Chaco was planned and designed in purpose.
How this could have occurred is either they were master astronomers or maybe there was some kind of contact with extraterrestrial Pleiadians.
Chaco Culture National Historical Park is a powerful place where some visitors report intense feelings of either fear or joy. It's claimed the area is also home to malevolent spirits called Skinwalkers and to caverns containing mysterious artifacts allegedly left by human time travelers. But Chaco's biggest mystery is the sudden disappearance some 700 years ago of the Anasazi, the original builders of these vast and complex structures. What can explain all these strange events, and are they connected? Some believe the answer may be found in the layout of these ancient ruins.
One thing that's very unique about Chaco Canyon is the displacement of the archaeological features throughout the 12-mile canyon.
Pueblo Bonito, the largest and most sacred structure of Chaco Canyon, was built by the Anasazi over 1,000 years ago. Remarkably, its kivas align with a distant and mystically powerful star cluster known as the Pleiades. Many wonder how the Anasazi people could have acquired the tools and the knowledge to align with this mysterious celestial body, located 440 light years from Earth.
How this could have occurred is either they were master astronomers and they had some way of observing the Pleiades star system from here on Earth, or maybe there was some kind of contact with extraterrestrial Pleiadians.
Some believe in a shocking theory that the Earth was designed long ago by a highly intelligent alien species, and that Chaco Canyon was constructed to be a portal between our planet and Pleiades.
All the aspects of Chaco was planned and designed in purpose, just the way an architect would do a drawing for a building, or even a mock-up or a computer CG design for it. That was done for Chaco.
Richard Leviton also claims the Anasazi could communicate with Earth's original designers. This could explain how they were able to align their buildings so precisely with the Pleiades star cluster.
And they would have taken regular meetings with the higher-ups that direct Earth reality, and they would say, can you guys do like 300 years at Chaco? We need to have the place occupied and maintained and lived in for a while for the benefit of the Earth.
If Chaco Canyon is a portal to other realms, it could explain the existence of skinwalkers, who some claim have terrified visitors and mutilated animals in the area.
What's so interesting about the skinwalkers is there are particular areas that the Native American people would completely avoid visiting. And in these areas, there were rumors of creatures coming out of portals, appearing out of nowhere, maybe even attacking them.
Skinwalkers are commonly seen in portal areas or areas that have portal activity. The veil is thinner in these areas, and being thinner, they have basically more power.
Interdimensional portals could also explain how humans from the future were able to visit Chaco centuries ago. They could also explain Chaco Canyon's most enduring mystery, the disappearance of the Anasazi people.
Maybe they stepped through the portal, which Chaco Canyon has been described as, and went maybe up to the Pleiades.
I propose that they left because their job was done. You could even think of it as a contract. We'll let Chaco be dormant for a while, and we'll go stimulate some other place.
Where the Anasazi disappeared to is still one of the world's most baffling mysteries. Whoever they were, their legacy lives on in the great monuments of Chaco Culture National Historical Park, where powerful forces will continue to flow, impacting the minds and spirits of visitors for eternity.
There are places on the planet, and I believe Chaco is one of them, that feels like the heart of Mother Earth, where you get in touch with what's natural and what's real.
It feels like a special place. It's so beautifully primeval. There's just a sense that you're going back in time when you visit Chaco. It's so quiet, and the sky is so vast. It feels like a very spiritual place.
That's why Chaco Canyon is the cradle of North American civilization.
2003, on a deserted road deep inside Mark Twain National Forest.
There's something following us!
They hear this ferocious thing coming up, and it's chasing them.
It's gaining on us. Can you go faster? Come on!
To their horror, they realize they can't outrun it.
It was black, it had fangs, and it's got red eyes.
This is National Park Secrets and Legends. Sprawling across 1.5 million acres of rugged highlands, Mark Twain National Forest sits at the heart of the American Midwest. Throughout history, its volcanic mountains and networks of ancient caves made it a natural hideout for Native Americans, outlaws, and gangsters. Today, many believe it harbors something more sinister. Dark forces from the underworld running amok in the wilderness.
When I think of the Mark Twain National Forest, I think of an evil place. I've had nightmares about the place, you know.
2012. Don Fone is driving through a remote area just outside Mark Twain National Forest. It's a place where almost nobody goes. It makes him nervous to be driving there alone.
It's shrouded on both sides by trees, and the forest is over here, and it's a real creepy kind of a place, especially when it starts getting dark.
Suddenly, Don notices something unusual with the truck. The odometer has stopped working. And it's not the only thing going haywire on the dashboard.
The gas gauge went all the way down to the empty mark, and the light come on, and thought it was going to die. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Started running really rough and just started having all kinds of funky things going on with the car.
A breakdown is the last thing Don needs, especially in this area near Mark Twain National Forest.
It's not really a place you want to be hanging around any longer than you really have to. You get that kind of really heavy feeling. Something's just not quite like it's supposed to be, like people are watching you and stuff.
Inexplicably, the truck starts running again. Don wastes no time in turning around and heading back the way he came. Then he gets another bizarre surprise.
About where he started experiencing all these problems, they just stopped. Speedometer started acting right, odometer started acting right, gas gauge went back up to full.
What happened to Don Fone's truck in Mark Twain National Forest? Paranormal investigator Bud Steed is intrigued by the incident. He decides to check out the area for himself. It isn't long before he gets the alarming sensation that something isn't quite right.
I heard this really low, throaty kind of a growl. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. I spent a lot of time in the woods deer hunting. I've been bear hunting, and it was like nothing I'd ever heard before. This was obviously something that was big and not very friendly. It got my attention. It made me feel extremely nervous.
The terrifying sounds get louder. but Bud can't tell where they're coming from. He wonders if he's being stalked.
I was kind of looking around to see if I was going to have to defend myself against God knows whatever.
Suddenly, Bud hears something moving in the woods.
And that's when I looked, and I saw what looked like somebody walking back there. When I thought, that can't be. There's nobody else out here but me.
Even more bizarre, the terrifying unseen creature that seems to be stalking him has gone silent, leaving Bud alone in the forest with the mysterious stranger.
I don't know who it was or why they were there. I have absolutely no idea.
Thinking he might get help, Bud moves towards the shadowy figure. But before he can reach it, something inexplicable happens. The figure seems to fade away the closer he gets.
By the time I got back there, whatever it was there, whoever was there, was gone. It was just one of those weird occurrences that you can't really explain.
What did Bud Steed experience in Mark Twain National Forest? What kind of creature was stalking him from the trees? And was it connected to the mysterious stranger? Another harrowing event in the forest could shed light on the question. 2003, a young couple are searching for a campground deep inside Mark Twain National Forest.
I just don't understand it. We should have made it there by now.
They were lost, and they were trying to find their way.
Did you hear that?
They hear what sounds like a wolf barking in the distance. The barking gets closer and closer.
I think there's something following us. It looks like some kind of dog. Do you see this thing? It's huge!
It's like no animal they've ever seen.
It looks like a dog, but it's big, and it's black, and it's got fangs, and it's got red eyes, and it's chasing them.
We need to go faster. Go faster!
They're driving as fast as they can, but it doesn't make a difference. They can't outrun the creature.
It's gaining on us!
It's physically impossible for an animal to go that fast. Maybe a cheetah, but this isn't Africa. We're in Missouri here.
The creature chases them for miles.
It's right here! Come on, go! We gotta move!
Before they're finally able to shake it.
They were pretty shook up. I imagined this couple had never been so frightened.
What was it that chased the car that day in Mark Twain National Forest? Brandon Callahan, a paranormal investigator, has a shocking theory. He believes it was an otherworldly beast known as a hellhound.
Hellhounds are a demonic creature that have been called in, usually ritualistically, and they cannot be sent back.
What a lot of people believe is that it is a harbinger of evil, and they could even be guarding entrances to hell.
What can explain the presence of hellhounds and the mysterious stranger in Mark Twain National Forest? Could they be connected with the inexplicable malfunctions in Don Fawn's pickup truck? An incident in 2009 could offer a clue.
The deer were all dead, and the deer were all mutilated. And I'm not talking 1 or 2 or 3, I'm talking like 20, 30.
Mark Twain National Forest straddles the Ozark Highlands of southern Missouri, home to some of the oldest mountains in the United States. In the most remote corners of the forest, it's claimed that vehicles inexplicably malfunction and terrifying hellhounds roam the backwoods. What could account for these strange and inexplicable incidents? 2009. Researcher David Harkins is visiting a local historical site deep inside Mark Twain National Forest. It's the grave of a young woman, Eliza Jane Laycox, who died in 1897.
Why is she buried there and not in the cemetery just up the road? A lot of the locals believe that she was a witch and that she couldn't be buried in consecrated ground. So they just buried her right there, pretty much where her house once stood. It's not a place you really want to go by yourself. Anytime I've ever been there, I've experienced a overwhelming feeling of sadness. Like you just want to break down in tears, just like one of your parents died or something.
He is about to leave when he notices something unusual about the gravestones.
And the stones are almost warm to the touch, even though it was probably about 25, 28 Fahrenheit out. Is it paranormal? Something, you know, with physics? Something in natural, you know, environment? I don't know.
David's trying to make sense of this bizarre discovery when he suddenly realizes he's not alone.
I look up, and it looks like there's what I would describe as a man standing, rather tall. I'd say close to 7 foot.
As David stares at the mysterious stranger, he sees something that defies explanation. A sinister light is coming from the man's eyes.
His eyes were red. It's pretty shocking. You're like, did I really see that? You do a double take. And at that point, all you can think of is to get out of there.
But before David can flee the scene, the bizarre figure almost seems to become ghost-like.
Within 2 seconds, it just kind of flickered like sun coming through some mini blinds, and it was just gone.
What did David Harkins see that night? Paranormal investigator Brandon Callahan has a bizarre theory. He thinks it was a demon summoned into this world through witchcraft.
When a coven or a person is practicing some sort of ritual, they will want their area protected, so outsiders won't have a tendency to wander in. So they're going to call in protectors. They can manifest themselves in human form or any other form.
Why would witches be practicing black magic in Mark Twain National Forest? It's believed the presence of witches in the area dates back centuries, inspiring fear and terror among those who live on the outskirts of the forest. Like the story of Molly Crenshaw, a Haitian slave who lived here in the 1800s.
She was accused of hexing some of the locals. The locals got a hold of her, cut her in half, and buried her in different places. And they say that every day, every year, because of her being a witch, her body is trying to put itself back together, so it inches closer and closer. And once 2 pieces come back together, she will once again, like, resurrect.
Some claim that evidence of witchcraft in Mark Twain can be found in disturbing reports of ritual animal killings.
I came across a pasture one time. It was full of deer, and the deer were all dead and mutilated. And I'm not talking 1 or 2 or 3, I'm talking like 20, 30. It was pretty weird and pretty unexplainable.
Why is Mark Twain National Forest a magnet for witchcraft and other sinister practices? What is being hidden from outsiders in the most remote corners of the forest? A shocking encounter could provide an explanation.
We're getting out to explore, and 2 men pulled up with shotguns. They're protecting the secret of the caves. They don't want it explored.
Since the dawn of time, water moving through Mark Twain National Forest has carved out a system of underground chambers in its volcanic hills. These caves, which number in the hundreds, are believed by some to conceal sinister phenomena. Vicious hellhounds, demonic figures, and shadowy practitioners of black magic. The cave system is also used as a hideout for people and things that need to stay concealed. In the 19th century, the legendary outlaw Jesse James hid from authorities in one of Mark Twain's caves and may have concealed his loot there.
He actually signed his name on the cave wall. So any cave that has, you know, a history with famous robbers, you know, there's always a legend that they buried something in there. Who knows? Maybe it just hasn't been found yet.
Some believe an even greater treasure is concealed deep inside the forest. 2000, a Native American shaman is led to a secret location by a tribal elder. He's been chosen to learn one of the tribe's greatest and most ancient secrets.
He was blindfolded and taken to this location. He did not know how he got there or where it was.
Opening his eyes, he finds himself inside a large cavern. On the walls, symbols in a language he doesn't recognize. Even stranger, the cavern is full of priceless treasures, thousands of years old.
It's an underground depository of ancient artifacts from all over the world that have been deposited in one area in the middle of the United States in a cave. And this ancient artifact of treasures is protected, and people are not welcome there.
Tribal elders call this place the Hall of Records.
The cave's been there forever. How it got there, who created it, I have no idea.
There are legends of halls of records all over the world. They supposedly hold, you know, history and science and the medicine of a lost civilization.
After hearing about the cave, Charles Teague sets out to locate the mysterious Hall of Records for himself. He becomes obsessed with the cave, searching for it for years. He finally locates it in Mark Twain National Forest, underneath an ancient earthwork structure known as the Missouri Mystery Mound. But Teague has never been able to explore the structure. Every time he's tried, he's been driven away by mysterious gunmen who guard it and keep the curious away.
We pulled up and we were getting out to explore, and two men pulled up with shotguns. They go, "What the hell are y'all doing?" And we looked at them, we were kind of scared, but we didn't know what was going on.
What secrets are gunmen protecting at the Missouri Mystery Mound? Could it be the key to a lost civilization?
I've always loved the thought of history as we know it not being complete. And if there have been past civilizations, and if one of them, you know, buried their secrets here in Missouri, that would be one of the best stories I'd ever heard in my life.
Why is Mark Twain National Forest at the epicenter of so many unexplained activities? Some believe it may have something to do with a clue Charles Teague used to find the Hall of Records. That clue was a fault line located deep within Mark Twain National Forest. Known as the New Madrid seismic zone, its power is so great that it could explain many bizarre incidents in the area.
The earthquakes that happened were the strongest earthquakes that ever were experienced. The Mississippi River actually ran backwards.
No one can say what secrets are concealed in the darkest corners of Mark Twain National Forest, where terrifying hellhounds roam the backwoods. A demon guards sites of black magic, and a secret underground chamber contains treasures of long-lost civilizations. Why is this happening in Mark Twain National Forest? There may be an answer in an unusual event that took place over a century ago, when the New Madrid seismic zone unleashed a terrifying natural disaster.
The earthquakes that happened here in Missouri between December of 1811 and March of 1812 were the strongest earthquakes that ever were experienced in the American continent.
Areas including Mark Twain National Forest were hit by nearly 2,000 tremors over a 5-month period. The shaking was so violent that thousands of acres of virgin forest were toppled, and the geography of the region shifted radically.
The Mississippi River actually ran backwards. It changed its direction for several hours.
But the earthquakes also had strange and inexplicable effects. liquefying the ground in some areas and releasing a toxic black smog.
People during that time said that it was so black that the lamps wouldn't light the air and they couldn't breathe, and it smelled really, really bad.
In Mark Twain National Forest, some believe the New Madrid fault line discharged more than just black smoke. It may also have released demonic energy into the area. Powerful forces that some believe are still responsible for strange events in the forest today.
The paranormal activity is caused by the fault line. Just think of what's coming out of a fault line. The rubbing together of the plates and the things that cause earthquakes. That kind of dispensing of energy.
When you have a fault line as large as the Madrid, nobody should be surprised that the Mark Twain National Forest is wrought with demons and monsters and ghosts, because you are directly accessing this underworld that we're completely unfamiliar with.
It's believed that it isn't just the fault line that causes strange activities in the forest. Some say the area's minerals amplify the effect.
There's lots of caves that were formed by blisters from the lava flowing, eons ago. And a lot of that is limestone. And the theory is that limestone and water is kind of a conduit for that, paranormal or supernatural energy.
Mark Twain National Forest is a mysterious place where the unknown hides deep within its thick growth and dark caves. Although a powerful place that demands respect, it will forever be at the mercy of unseen energies radiating from its core.
A lot of people that live around the Mark Twain National Forest still need to protect themselves from the evil and supernatural occurrences there.
The Mark Twain National Forest is deep. The surface is barely being scratched because we simply don't have access to it, at least without putting ourselves at risk.